Now here's one that fascinates me, because this is your bucket of pellet, your tub of pellet.
Yep.
There's all sorts in there.
Yep.
And to me, that's just a recipe for disaster. Because I'm going to catapult those out. Some are going to go further than others.
Yep.
Some are going to sink faster than others. Some
Yep.
are going to go further down the swim than others.
Yep.
So, you know, I like to try and feed a line. You
Yep.
know, I learned a lot of my fishing off of match anglers, and they teach you feed a line, get the fish coming up that line. If you're fishing from the bank and you're catapulting, how can you feed a line with all that mix of different sizes? As I just said, they're all going to go different places, different depths.
Well, that's exactly why I use them, to be honest. But, easier to feed by hand. So if I'm not feeding from too
so
far
if you
apart,
stood out in the river
so if I'm
trotting,
stood in the river trotting,
Yeah.
float fishing, then yeah, I like a big mixture, different sizes, different colours. I just think the breakdown, a bit of interest. It's a bit like going to the buffet bar. If it's just got peanuts there, I get bored of peanuts. If it's got crisp peanuts and twiglets, then I'm quick coming
So
back.
you're associating your thoughts with fish.
Exactly that.
I'm sure they're far more intelligent than we are.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
But yeah, so no, that's intriguing, you see, because you know I rarely stand in the river to trot. I love standing in the river to trot, but I'm getting too old for it. So by the time I'm standing there trying to keep my balance,
Yeah.
I don't do much trotting.
No.
So because generally I'm either washing it with my scoop or my catapult, and that's where the confusion comes with trying to do that mix.
For sure, yeah.
But I can see. And equally, once I start to feed a swim when I'm trotting, and say with something as simple as corn, you know, or just pellet, just one size pellet, you know, I find I'm fishing in 5 foot of water, I'm putting my pellet in straight in front of me, and a certain distance down the swim, I can estimate. You learn to do these things in your head, and I think that's what sorts out the men from the boys.
Yeah.
As to where those pellets are going to be getting to the bottom, that's going to be your taking spot.
Yeah.
But once you really get them going, they'll follow that source back up, and they'll come up off the bottom to see where they're coming from.
We saw them doing it, didn't we? Taking mid-water. People always wonder, do barbel take mid-water? But we've seen them doing it to intercept them.
Exactly, and then they wonder why they've stopped getting bites, because they're still fishing on the bottom,
further down.
tail end of the swim.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're kind of catering for that whole thing right from the very beginning.
Yeah.
But do you not find you get more small fish intercepting those and following them down?
Yeah.
At least with the bigger pellets. And one thing you mentioned to me, which I hadn't really picked up, was some people soak them. You soak them.
I like to soak them just to get them soft, just so they sink a bit quicker.
Yeah, I like that. You see, I like that idea of them sinking a bit quicker. But then I'll be back to the idea of my 8 mil pellets, getting them to the bottom as fast as possible, because I want to miss the small fish.
Yeah, so it does bring the smaller fish in, but I do think the big fish are attracted by the smaller fish.
That gives them confidence.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
and inevitably up here, you've got a shoulder chub with the shoulder barbel behind it. And once you get the chub preoccupied on the bait, the barbel go, oh, actually, no, we'll have that.
Yeah.
Off you go.
And there's been some very good underwater videos over the years recently where, you know, watching pellets go to the bottom, and when they become totally waterlogged, they just lift up and drift off stream.
Really?
Yeah.
So there's only one thing with that. I hope I'm not there that long
well, there is that.
to do that.
Yeah.
But no, there's some interesting thoughts that you can get simply just out of the difference in the way you use pellets and I do. But I might change now.
Probably. If you take my advice, then I'll be honoured.
So we've established that, you know, why you're using all these different size pellets, but they're all different as well. Is that for a reason? I mean, what are all those?
So, yeah, there's just a mix here, and I think it doesn't really matter what that mix is, but, you know, marine halibut's got to go in there for sure, because that's obviously, you know, the mainstay of the river. But I use sauce pellets as well. I drop some 4s in there, some 6s in there, some 8s in there as well. Even some betaine green, you know, it's a bit of colour. And normally I'd have some cheesy garlic ones as well, but yeah, it's a real mix. It's a real buffet. It's a real buffet. Yeah. But you know, it works for me and it gives me confidence. And
so none of this is relative to what you're putting on the hook, really?
Not really, no. It's just pure feed to draw fish in.
Yeah. No, yes.
And it's a float fishing mix as opposed to a feeder mix.
I think that's where we've realised we're talking about a different.
But I have put a pellet mix in an open end feeder before, you know, when they've been nice and soft, and it does the same thing, but yeah, more of a float fishing mix.
Yeah, no, that's fascinating. I can see the whole logic of that now, whereas when you put it there I thought, oh, he's got it wrong.